My name is Sherry Smith-Ferry. I'm director of the Grace Hudson Museum in Ukiah, California. And Grace Hudson was quite a remarkable woman. She is, up until now, is Ukiah's most prominent citizen. She was a nationally known painter during her lifetime. She was born in 1865 and died in 1937. And her specialty was painting portraits, particularly portraits of Pomo Indian peoples that lived here and that she knew from her childhood. Her paintings hang in Washington, D.C. They're all over California in various museums in the West. And this is the community that she made her home, and so the Grace Hudson Museum is here. Part of its importance is that it's all interconnected. In an odd way, the family business, and it's not really just about Grace, it's about Grace and her husband John, who is an ethnographer and collector. It's about her mom, who is a writer and an educator. It's about her dad, who was one of the earliest newspaper publishers and photographers. It's about her grandmother, who is an abolitionist and one of the real important figures in the women's rights movement. It's about all these people. Her brother, who became quite famous as an author and a Hollywood screenwriter. It's about all these people in this family, very talented family, very socially conscious in many ways, and in some interesting ways, a lot of their business, a lot of what they spent their lives doing, centered around Pomo Indian peoples. And so you have descendants of Pomo Indian peoples that are alive today that come in all the time to see paintings that Grace did of the relatives. One of my favorite memories is to see a young teenage boy who was dancing, part of a Pomo dance group, who was all dressed up in regalia, which is this feather cape and these flicker quill headbands, and beautiful young man. And he stood next to a painting that was done of his great-great-grandfather by Grace Hudson of Tom Mitchell, who was dressed in the same exact material. And you could, I mean, it was almost the identical face. So, I mean, that was really one of my favorite times. I actually am of Pomo Indian descent myself in Sonoma County, and I grew up knowing about Grace Hudson and seeing her work. Whenever there was a chance to see Grace Hudson's paintings, we always, as a family, went to go see them, in part because it portrayed people we knew, and it was always a source of great pride to have a really widely admired artist painting us. My father worked he worked for the Native American Studies Department at a college that's close by. I have on my bulletin board, I have a photo of him leading a tour through the house of kids in the Sun House. And I used to tag up here with him as a junior high school student. I used to come up and poke around in the attic, and that's how I knew about the Sun House, and that it actually was a treasure trove, quite literally, of material that was hidden away in this little town in rural California. And so I, of course, knew that there was all these diaries and papers and letters and all kinds of things that were upstairs in the attic of the Sun House that nobody had ever really looked at before. After spending time with them through their letters, through all sorts of things that they've left behind, you really do start to get a sense of them as people. You start to get a sense of what they like to read. You get a sense of what they found funny. You get a sense of what kind of clothes she liked to wear. And you start to really get a clear picture that she expected to be remembered. She would not be surprised that there is a museum in Ukiah dedicated to her memory. And in fact, I think she might be tickled that there's a Pomo Indian woman running it.